it's a bit soon, but I thought, you know what, listeners to this podcast, I think it's time to kind of implore everyone to start thinking about the New Year goals. Now, it is a cliche, this whole New Year, new me phenomenon. But I mean, let's face it, everyone kind of comes across it. You get to December the 1st, and all of a sudden, kind of want to start with all of these resolutions. And I actually think it's a really positive thing. I certainly am not hating on the phenomenon, but I do think if we kind of use a bit of forethought and start thinking about what those resolutions and what those new goals are going to be now, so that by the time we get there, it's not kind of just impulsive, let's get a new gym membership like everyone does, and then kind of never goes beyond the first couple of months. So yeah, what do you think about that, Barry? Just to kind of get started on this now and kind of have a productive view of what the goals are for the next year.
Yeah, so I agree. I think what I think about goal thinking is that we need to think beyond goals and think as to like systems we're putting in place to achieve things we want to achieve,
Yep.
right? So a goal is like an outcome we want to get to, and so we say to ourselves, cool, I want to have a six-pack by September 2020, and that's kind of the goal, right?
Yep.
And it's very noble, and you're sitting on January 1st, and you're in the gym on January 1st, and you're feeling amazing about yourself, and you're like, cool, it's on the way. But you get to January 15th, you get to the end of Jan, you get to February, and you probably haven't been to gym since then, right? And so one of those things that life gets in the way. We have to be realistic about the fact that a goal you set now, life is going to get in the way, and there's going to be things that are going to be in your path. And so I think about it as building systems. How do I put a system in place so that even when things are in my path, I have other alternate routes? So for example, if I go and get my gym membership, but then I'm traveling in February, do I have a plan B for what I'm going to do while I'm traveling to ensure my exercise routine stays on track? And so I think it's more than just the goal. The goal is the starting point, but then it's understanding what are the small steps you need to take in order to make sure that even when those obstacles come, because they will, right? So prepare for them.
100%.
And what is the system in place? What is the plan B? How do you get around those obstacles? The more thinking you do around that, the better you're going to be in keeping your resolutions. And that's why it's important to do it now and not on December 28th, 29th, right? It's important to give it some time to think about it so that you can actually plan, cool, what do I want to achieve in 2020?
Yep.
What are the systems I can put in place? What are the habits I need to build in order to get that right? And then the goal takes care of itself. If the system is in place and it works, then the goal takes care of itself.
100%. This is kind of like to kind of not overcomplicate this. Both of us coming from a CA background, this is kind of like setting up those internal controls, really. So when you've got those internal controls set up, kind of it all happens. You kind of get to that ultimate goal. And yeah, that's a good way of thinking. I've actually never really thought about setting up systems, so I'm definitely going to start the work on my side as well. And then, I mean, you've added an extra dimension to this, which is, taking those goals and kind of giving yourself accountability through social platforms. Can you expand on that for us?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a huge fan of sharing my stuff online. I think as a lot of my friends know, because I spam them with a lot of stuff. But all my various projects and all my various thoughts and ideas and writing, I try and share them online because it kind of holds me accountable for what I think and what I believe, and that I'm actually creating things in the world. I find it baffling the number of people who don't have a blog or some sort of way of sharing ideas and thoughts and their projects online. I don't understand why people don't do it, because for me, I've had such success with it. It gives me the social pressure that I need to push through on things that are difficult. To give you an example, I've always wanted to write a fiction book, right? And that's always been a goal of mine, and it's never something I've ever been able to do. I've always started and never really followed through. And the first time I was able to actually finish a full draft was because I vlogged the whole experience. I went online and I made a video and I said, friends, family, hold me accountable. I'm going to try and write a book, and I'm going to give you updates every single day. And what that did was it meant that it made me feel guilty if I didn't write that day. Because how was I supposed to get on the video and say to my friends and family, oh, I was procrastinated and I was lazy today? And that kind of social accountability is a really powerful behavioral change tool to get done what you want to get done. And so it doesn't have to be video. It can be written. It can be on your Facebook. It can even be to yourself. It can even be like in a journal. But sharing that process on paper or outside of your head just forces you to be a little bit more realistic about it and honest with yourself. And that honesty is hard to find because we find a lot of ways to rationalize to ourselves or to find excuses or to make excuses for why we haven't done what we should have done.
Yeah.
And when you actually when you're public with it and when you're sharing it with people you care about, all of a sudden those excuses don't fly anymore.
100%. I mean, you finishing that book, that's an absolutely amazing personal achievement. And I think, as you say, holding yourself accountable. I mean, I've kind of read about this phenomenon before in Men's Health, of kind of starting a Twitter page and kind of posting whatever it is that you're doing, so that there's a support network there that kind of holds you accountable. Even just the mental kind of headspace that you're in as well is, you're kind of constantly thinking, well, if I don't do this, I'm going to kind of look like a twit because I've promised everyone that I'm going to do this. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's an incredible idea. And I mean, talking about our previous point of sharing more things, this kind of dovetails into that again. But certainly, I think holding ourselves accountable, making our goals public, starting a vlog, doing that kind of thing, always a good idea.
And also, it's not just the negative guilt. It's not just the negative stuff. It's the opportunities that I've found through sharing this stuff that I never would have found beforehand, or have been amazing. The friends that have got behind you, the people you've connected with on a similar interest. Like, there's a lot of positive. It's not just the guilt stuff. It's also the positivity of finding people around the world who are into the same things that you are.
100%. I mean, both of us obviously a big fan of Casey Neistat, and I think his whole process of when he started his company, vlogging the whole thing, kind of led him to sell it to CNN for, I think it was $26 million or something like that. So as you say, kind of aside from the negative aspects in terms of your own self guilt and that kind of thing, there are definitely other positives that come from doing something like that. Across the